having a child going goo, goo, goo all the time might be quite annoying for your audio.
I don't know. I've never had a child interrupt any of these interviews, and my pets are always barking or meowing, so I feel like I need to be interrupted myself.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, well, um, we'll see. You might get there. You go. You can hear the odd sound effect. Maybe the mic's good enough that you don't hear it, but I can hear them anyway. So it's all good.
Well, I just want to say congratulations also on this new album. That's fantastic that you're able to put this out.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was excited to do it. The baby was coming, and I was like, oh, I have this material. I want to do it because I was more like, once the baby comes, the material will change and feel different. So I was like, all right, let's get this recorded. So yeah, I was happy, and got to do it in DC, where they're a nice, savvy crowd.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really fun. Thanks, man.
How did it feel when you were finally able to just get this weight off your shoulders of all this stand up that you've been building up for the past couple of years?
Yeah, it's weird. It's like you feel you want it to go well, the recording. You're still like enjoy. You want to have that fine line of still enjoying the bits, but like you're not bored of them. You're also ready to say goodbye to them. I think so. Like some of it, I was just starting to feel was like um, joke about vaccines, and not it's not like very COVID heavy, because I feel like the COVID material became very boring very quickly. But just that, and then a couple of stories. I was like, okay, yeah, these feel. I've enjoyed telling them, but I have to say, you got to say goodbye to your babies sometimes. Not your actual baby, not my baby. I have to can never say goodbye. I can say goodbye, but I have to return to him if I want to be a good dad. But the stand up was like, yeah, this is good. Let's get it out there. And now I'm in this bit of like, oh, I need to come up with a new hour, and
Mm,
it's exciting, but also you're like, oh, some of the bits aren't as good as the old bits.
yeah.
So it's a whole process.
When did so was it the child coming? Was it him that kind of or them that sparked that prescient need to get the special going? Was it or did you feel like you were ready at that point in time besides having everything ready
Yeah,
to go?
yeah. I think it was a bit of both. It was like I think like some people. I used to do like an hour every year when I was doing Edinburgh Festival, and I think some comics. I was like, I could do an hour every year, a whole new hour. And then some comics were like, I think Bill Burr once said it's like he does it one every 2 years because he has more life lived to talk about. And I think I'm on the same scale. I think this is coming out almost exactly 2 years after my last album. So that does make sense. Yeah, I feel like 2 years I like hit the point where I'm like, okay, cool, I've got the stuff in that nice level of like finessed and good. But it's ready to say goodbye. But then weirdly, as soon as I recorded the album, some of those stories I found like extra little jokes. I was still doing them for a
Mhm.
couple of months, and I was like, oh man, I should. There was like another couple of months in this,
Yeah.
but maybe that's because you take the pressure off when you don't have the album to record. You suddenly go, oh, this actually there's you kind of play with it more, I guess.
Yeah. Well, we're now in this world of uploading things to TikTok and Instagram and having to have constant videos come out on basically on a daily basis.
I
You
know.
could always take those jokes and those extra bits from the jokes and just go out and go and do an open mic while you're doing new stuff, bring in an old joke, and then throw in that new stuff with it to see if it still works. I mean, but I don't do stand up, so take that as you will.
No, 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 that's right. You are right though. You can nowadays. It's like the good and the bad of it is you can record anything and everything and put it up. It's always that fine. Like, yeah, I'm always in that weird, not a battle, but like I want to put stuff up, but you also, I think sometimes it's hard. You want to have some level of quality control,
Mhm.
and I think sometimes people just throw any old bit up, and I'm like, oh, is that the best version it could be? Sometimes people care. Sometimes people don't care, um, but maybe yeah, we're always fighting our own battle in our heads about like how good the bit can be. But yeah, you're right. I can still breathe new life into it in a different form.
Well, how do you know when a video is ready? When it's something that, hey, I can put up this 30, 40 second clip and this is going to be something that performs well versus that quality control part where you go, I don't know if this is good or if I should put up this crowd work or if I should put up this actually written down thing.
Yeah, I'm the crowd work stuff is I've put up a couple, but I'm that specifically, I'm a bit like, I feel like the quality control on crowd, I think it's making audiences worse actually, because I think they're going to be in a crowd work clip, so they start shouting out and saying stuff.
Yeah.
And it becomes, some people are very good at crowd work, but a lot of it is just quite like lowest common denominator. So, and like I can do like, I'm coming from the UK, I can do crowd work because the audience heckle a lot in the UK, so I'm used to it and I can do it. But I just find it I feel like when you're doing it and it's hard to be present when doing it, if that makes sense. Like feel
Yeah.
like people are doing it now for the internet.
Yes.
Um, and that's what I'm trying to still do my stuff, enjoy making the good bit, and then sometimes something I'll make it and I'll be like, oh, that's a funny bit, and then I start to go. Some of the stuff I'm like, I don't even want to keep that for like a full hour, like a new hour. I go, it's not quite enough. And then sometimes I'll put it up, but then sometimes I'll be like, oh, I think this is just really like a good concise joke and it'll work well online. So it just
Yeah.
varies, man. It varies.
Now, your name, your namesake, you play with it. In the press release, you play with it. In some clips I've seen, you play with it. Does that get annoying for you to have this kind of a common name, and then people to be like, "Hey, you get a great name, the name like the
I
Coldplay name."
know, I know. I'm just so used to it now. I should have changed my name so long ago, and I just didn't. I think I must have just thought I will become as successful or well known as the other Chris Martin. But I'm just so used to it. I used to be like I have to do a joke on stage about it. And now in America you less have to, in the UK I kind of had to do it more.
Yeah.
Now I just don't bother mentioning it, and then if someone shouts something out, then I'll say something. But because it's like I'm so used, for me it's not a novelty. So I'm like, I don't need to get this out of the way. I'll just go and do some stand up and people will laugh if they like it or whatever. And then if someone is really that concerned about my name, they'll normally shout something out.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's fine. It's my own fault. I have no one else to blame but myself. I could have, but actually I was going to use my middle name, Chris John Martin. And then turns out the guy in Coldplay's middle name, one of his middle names, also John. So
Jesus.
can't get away from it, man.
Yeah. There's yeah, I'm in a similar boat, except with me being in the media, this other guy, his name is Chad White. He's a porn star, he's an adult film star. And it is so, and he's white, and it's so funny to, if someone Googles me, it's either gonna be him, or there's a guy in Florida who has a big, I think, landscaping business. So we're all like fighting over the same Chad White URL every single year.
That's very, so hang on, just chadwhite.com is what you're going for.
Yeah, that's what I really want to buy, that URL. I think that'd be very great for me.
I used to, is there like could you be like the real chadwhite.com or something like that? Like
Yeah. I have my
the
first middle
best Chad
initial.
White. Oh, you've got your first middle initial. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
That is, I sure, yeah, most people must have this battle now. Back in the day, it didn't really matter, but now there's like websites to battle over.
Yeah.
And then I used to have Chris Martin comedy. I could never get chrismartincomedy.com for years because there was a guy, an open micer in America when I was in the UK, like an old dude called Chris Martin. And then I assume he stopped doing comedy. I hope that's why he doesn't have. I hope that's the reason. It's the more nicer. He was kind of old, so hopefully he's still alive and well. But he eventually became available, and another comedian on his podcast, when we looked it up, it was available. He bought it for me, but now he owns my website now, the chrismartincomedy.com. So I have to like, he keeps renewing it for me, which is very nice. Tom Tran. But yeah, it's a whole thing, man. Chad White, you can't. I feel like I don't know the other ones, but you're definitely the best one. I'm saying it right now.
Well, thank you. Wait until you see this guy's videos, then you're gonna turn that tide.
I really, okay. I'll email you afterwards and be like, I retract my comment. You're now number 2.
Now, you said you were in the UK, and obviously I hear it in your voice. When did you decide to make the jump over to America?
it was 7 years ago actually. It's going so quick, man. COVID, and it feels, it's so weird how time goes really quickly. 7 years ago, me and my wife were like, let's do it. Like, always wanted to. We write together for TV, and she acts, and wanted to do more acting opportunities out here. So we wanted to like not be cold for a bit. So that's why I moved to Los Angeles. So yeah, that was 7 years ago, and now we have a small dog and technically an American baby. Our baby's not officially British yet, even though we're both British. So if he calls it soccer, I'm going to leave him on someone's doorstep. That's my one.
What are you gonna do if that child adopts a Californian accent as opposed to what you guys have?
I don't know what I think he's going to have. One of those weird. I feel like, depending on who he talks to, he'll change it. Which maybe is quite useful actually. He'll be like, "Yo, man," if he's speaking to, like, that was my American accent. If he's speaking to some Cali person, then he speaks to us, he might be like, "Hello, father, how are you?" I hope he doesn't feel like that. He sounds like a creepy kid who'd haunt you in a movie. So hopefully he
Right.
sounds a bit more regular British than that.
I also watched your stand up on the Late Late Show with James
Oh yeah,
Corden.
yeah.
What was that? That's it. That I know it's kind of gone by the wayside now. People appearing on late night shows and that being the big break, but I think that's still a huge, humongous step for people in the comedy world and even for bands to perform on these late night shows. How was that for you? What was the process of that like?
Oh, it was really great actually. To be on it, yeah, it's one of those things I've always wanted to be on, like a late night show, and so I was really happy to be on it. But it was weird because it coincided with me. I ended up writing on the show for the last 6 months of the show, so I was one of the writers, um, which did help because then I could show that I could like walk into the booker's office and be like, "Watch my stand up."
Yeah.
But it was great, except when I filmed it, like I've done other TV stuff before, but that I was really nervous because if I like tanked, I had to like go and look everyone in the eye at work for the next like 2 months. I think it was. It was 2 months after the show. So I was like super nervous. I was like, I knew the stuff. I knew the crowd's good. James is great. He'd always like be very generous and get the audience to like really like, because it's kind of weird. It's like you film at like 5 in the afternoon. It's like
Yeah.
no one's drunk. So it's like, guys, just, it's weird to watch comedy, but get up in the, so fair play to him for that. And then I was like, I was just like suddenly backstage going, oh, I need this to go. This has to go well. Otherwise, how can people almost have to like, people have that thing where they're like, well, it was pretty good. And I was like, no. So luckily the crowd were nice and the set went well. And yeah, it was brilliant. Colin Farrell was on, who my wife
Okay.
was very excited was on. A bit too excited actually.
Yeah.
She said to him, "Congratulations," when she walked past him, on not on just on being a handsome man. So yeah, the thing went well, and my wife didn't leave me for Colin Farrell, so it was really nothing could have gone better.
Yeah, but the temptation was there. She was ready to go. If he responded, if he said something like that, she would have hop ship immediately.
All right, okay, now you put it in a new perspective, Chad. All right, I should be tracking my wife's phone, is what you're saying. Okay, I'll be doing that.
Yes.
I'll be
Yes.
To be honest though, if she left me for Colin Farrell, I wouldn't even be annoyed. I'd be like, correct. That's the correct decision.
That's right. What did you steal anything from the set or the offices when you left the show when the show
Oh,
ended?
you're back. Sorry, you froze for
Oh,
like 10 seconds after
okay.
I said correct. I think it was. I don't know what your next question was.
All right. Okay, well, here's the question. Did you steal anything from the Late Late Show when the show ended?
Do you know what? I didn't steal anything because Corden gave us a really like nice box of goodies, and one of the things he gave all of the staff, which is pretty cool, was in the last show they smashed the desk up as like a bit with Will Ferrell, but
Yeah.
he actually gave everyone a bit of wood from the desk, which is really cool. So I've got a bit of Late Late Show desk in my house. Did I steal anything else? I mean, I'd steal a couple of snacks from the little kitchen, because I'm sure everyone does that at work, though, right?
Yeah.
If there's free snacks, you've got to take a couple of snacks. But that was it. Yeah. Sorry, I'm not as. I wish I'd stolen something. Now you say it, I should have stolen something more important. But You know, I'm a
I
good
make
boy.
sure to steal something from every job I work. I just finished up with CNN. You're right. I did take some snacks, and also I just took one of the ends, and I'm gonna place it somewhere. I don't have a lot of room in this apartment, but
You
it'll
didn't
fit.
take you didn't take an you serious? You took an N from CNN.
Oh no, I didn't. No, I didn't
Oh
take
right.
anything.
Oh right. I was like, mate, that's a big thing to admit. CN. It's just called CN. No, yeah, I think taking perishable goods doesn't really count as theft, but you got to steal a pen normally.
Mhm.
I mean pens, stationery and perishable goods. That's fine. But yeah, if I just admitted to stealing something really significantly funny, I stole I stole a person. I've kidnapped a member of staff and they're in my house.
You took CC Pleasance from her
Yeah, I
desk.
did. I did succeed. Yeah.
Did so writing for late night and then also doing your own stand up. How was that for you? How do you balance writing in someone else's voice and then writing in your own voice and trying to make jokes work for both sides?
Oh, it's yeah, it's definitely its own thing. Your brain is, all day you're thinking of jokes for someone else, which is which is like challenging in a good way, but it's very rewarding when you get your jokes on the air. So that's cool. And then generally your brain is pretty fried, so trying to think of jokes yourself is hard. But then it becomes like that's the walking the dog time I was, or in the car. I can't sit down and write jokes to myself when I've been writing other stuff all day. So it's like walking the dog or in the shower or in the car, something will pop into my head. I'm like, just jot that down. And then when you do shows, you're like, oh, I'll try this bit. And that's kind of like, that's the unpaid hobby at times.
Yeah.
Whereas the paid work, you've got to really put your effort into making it for somebody else. It wouldn't work if I was just writing jokes for myself. And I'll be honest though, sometimes I did pitch some jokes that I would have found funny, but would not have quite fitted Corden's voice. So they didn't get on the show. There you go.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. I write down sketch ideas all the time in case SNL ever wants to give me a call.
Mm-hmm.
And I always, you're right. Like that is the point when when you're working and you're separating that work and you only have the free time to not sit down and write for yourself. It's walking the dog, taking the shower. That's when the best things come to me. Like when to me, like it's 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to the gym and I have this out of this out of this world idea that I think will be funny, like Doc McStuffins gets sued for malpractice, and that's a funny bit to me, and I write it down and then I move forward and I try to come up with same funny things like that. But yeah, I can't sit down and write something funny and have it be funny. It just has to come to me in a moment when I'm not paying attention.
That's definitely the what did somebody say to me? If in doubt, this is my therapist. This is very LA. If in doubt, live the question and the answer will and you will grow into the answer. That's it.
Mm.
Which is quite good advice. I'm never quite sure if I understand what he means, but I take it as like just go and live life, and then the answer will kind of come to you, which is pretty true. Sometimes I'll wake up and I'll have the clearest idea, like it's been in my brain, and I'll write down, this is amazing, this is so good, and then it will be absolutely dog shit. So it's just like I'm just so like 5 a.m. I'm like, so this is why has no one done this before? This is genius.
Yeah.
And then it's often bad. But somebody said this to me recently: like, ideas are easy, but the execution's hard, which is kind of disheartening, but it's kind of true because you'll be like, that's a funny idea. And it's like, all right, well, what's the fleshed out version? I'm like, I'll have to go and that I have to sit down and work out.
Yeah.
But the initial ideas, I do think they pop up
Yeah.
in fun places.
Now you mentioned in passing that you write with your wife. How did was she always somebody who you wanted to perform with and write with, or did you grow organically into that?
Um, Definitely the latter, because she started as an actor and I started as a stand-up, and then I was trying to write scripts, get into script writing stuff. And I never found any comics, like comedians, who I would like align with work ethic wise and time wise. So she pitched, why don't we write together? And I was like, nah. I was just like, I just thought it wouldn't work because it's
Yeah.
like too much of the same thing. But bizarrely, like after a few weeks of just like working each other out, is great. She is got a brilliant brain for writing. She coming from acting, she's amazing at dialogue and just really good at like knowing why something doesn't work or should work, and emotionally how to get from A to B. And like me coming from comedy, initially come with the comedy stuff, but then now it's kind of blended into, yeah, we both kind of tag in on different bits. And so yeah, it's also, if you just live in the same house, you can't like call in sick from, you can't just bail on the person for work. She's like, just go to the computer now and write. I'm like, okay, I'll do that. But yeah, no, I'm very lucky actually, that we have the same sensibilities, and we don't hate each other.
Now, does she ever inform your stand up, and also with this new child, is he gonna inform any of that?
Yeah, I mean, she does inform it. I there's a little bit in the album, but I try to not do too much. Like, it's annoying when my wife does this because it feels a bit old fashioned. That, and really a lot of the stuff I'm like, I'm almost like, I think when you just like slag someone else off who can't really answer themselves, it's like, I don't know. I feel like it's one-sided argument. Normally it'll be like, it's weird that she does this. I'll be like, oh, it's because I did this and I'm an asshole. So she does help inform it, but I try to avoid it being, my wife's annoying. But pardon me, because thank you. Because I'm fully aware that I'm quite a difficult person to live with sometimes. So that's generally what happens with that stuff. And then the baby is, I'm in this battle of like not wanting to just write about a baby, because right. I knew before I had a baby, people just talk about their baby all the time. It gets quite one note. But then on the flip side, I'm like, well, my life is just looking after a baby and doing stand up at the moment, and a bit of writing. So that's a lot of the bits are coming that way. So then the challenge is, okay, how can I make the baby based bits different or interesting enough that people, whether you have a child or not, will find it funny. And then if they don't find it funny because they have a child, then that's fine, and that's not the audience. I can only really talk about what's going on in my life. I used to try and just do general observations, but I kind of found that I got a bit bored of that, and I think it's more interesting when someone says, I do this, I am doing this, and then people laugh because they recognize that they might share similar things, or how ridiculous a person I am.
I like that. When being here, and having been here for so long, and doing stand up here, and being successful, when you were in the UK and working, and doing the scene there, when you, and then you came here, what were the differences that you saw when you landed here, and were they surprising to you? Were they jarring? Did you feel like you fit in, or did you not fit in at all?
No, it definitely took a little while to get the vibe of what Americans laugh at. I think John Oliver told Ronnie Cheng, who then told me, it takes 2 years to like really figure it out. And that's almost, I think that was about right. Like you could still, like, the stuff that was universal would transfer. But when you really start to understand what people in this country, when you live amongst Americans, you start to be like, okay, I think this is what you guys care about or don't care about. So yeah, that was a big thing. It's hard to even like describe it. It's more like you just have to like, you just kind of feel the vibe, which is not that helpful if someone wants a complete shortcut to how to be successful in America. But that was the case. Generally, the American audiences are a bit more excited to have a good time and laugh at stand up. I feel like they're like, oh, I have comedy, this is going to be fun. Whereas the UK, people are like, comedy, this better not be shit, is like what they think. Genuinely, I wish that wasn't true, but it is true. Apologies if I can't swear on it. I have sworn.
You can say whatever you want, doesn't matter.
Okay, good. We don't really swear on my album, but I'll swear in this interview, Chad. So that's that's kind of the vibe. And then and just in Los Angeles, like just gigs. In London, when I did stand up, you only ever really do stand up above a pub or in a comedy club. Then come here and people are doing stand up, in the back of people's vans and like in a playground and just weird places. But sometimes it's fun. It's fun to do something different. But sometimes I'm like, this would be better if it was in an actual comedy club with the correct acoustics. But
Yeah.
it's all good. Anyway, you get to tell jokes is a privilege.
What kind of going around and touring very shitty cities in the United States, what have you seen that's surprised you the most? Like if you went to Poughkeepsie, Idaho or Iowa or middle America and you just saw like cow dung in the middle of the streets. What's been something that you went, this is the Atlanta, not Atlanta, America's a weird place.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, I'm personally going to say that I do not think of certain parts of America as a shithole, but as you said, but some bits are different. One thing I discovered is being vegan in most of America that isn't Los Angeles is very difficult. I asked someone in a restaurant, in a thing, I go, is that vegan? And they went, I don't even know what vegan is. I was like, all right, that's fair enough. I will leave. So there's that. There's nothing like, I've not seen anything too like gross or anything. I've just seen, sometimes you're in a city and you're like, I have done everything there is to do in 7 minutes of being here, and that's more it is. It's like but that's the same in the UK.
Hmm.
Once if you go to some cities, you're like, oh, there's loads of fun stuff to do. Some cities, I'm like, I guess I'm just gonna watch Below Deck in my hotel room all day. But that's just life on the road. But everywhere I kind of like going. It's good to go different places because you're like, it's just fascinating. Because that's when you say like, I could easily go, Americans are like this. It's very difficult because Americans are all different. Each state is different. Each vibe is different. So yeah, I'm always learning, and I'm always happy to learn.
What's it like being a vegan and touring and being in that instance where is this vegan? And they're like, I don't know. Like, how do you? I mean, the simplest and easiest question would be, what do you eat? Like,
I
especially if you're in
know
somewhere
it's a
that
lot
has
of
meat.
fries. A lot of fries. I eat a lot
Yeah,
of fries on the road. Fries, and then normally you can get like, it sounds like quite bleak actually. Now, if you go to a place that's not very vegan friendly, you can have oatmeal for breakfast. You can then have fries for lunch and fries for dinner. That's basically it. Because then every salad's got cheese on it. You have to do a lot of. Can you take all the fun stuff out of that item?
right.
I have that with none of the fun. I was in Canada. I know this is not America, but I was in Canada and I was in a restaurant looking for something vegan to eat, and there wasn't much. So I said, "Can I have the pizza, the vegetable pizza, but with no cheese?" And the woman went, I don't even know how that would work. And I went, what do you mean? I go, like how the pizza goes like base, tomato, cheese, just don't add the cheese. And then she went, how are the toppings going to stay on? And I'm like, how are you carrying the pizza? Gravity is what works. And then at the end of the meal, she was just like, I'd like blown her mind. I was like a magician. She was just like, I can't believe you pulled it off. And I was like, I didn't pull off anything. You need to get out of this restaurant and look into the world. But maybe that's a Canadian thing.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm safe to say that. Canadian, but she'd never heard of a pizza with no cheese, which made me laugh.
Well, I mean, to me that makes sense because where I am in Atlanta, there's a lot of vegan places. We have a place called Slutty Vegan, and it takes the idea of an In-N-Out burger and like kind of
Mm.
just makes it but vegan, like a bean patty or whatever, and that makes sense. But I guess some people just can't grasp the idea that not everybody wants to have or can have the same type of diets around the world.
No, that's true. I'm enjoying it now. The way people are trying to sell veganism is to make it as unhealthy as possible. Have you noticed that people are
Yeah,
like, "Do you want to have a vegan thing?" It's like as gross as a burger, but somehow there's no meat in it.
yeah,
And so they're hoping that people are more into. They will park their animal hatred as long as the meal is very greasy and disgusting. But then a lot of the time it's very nice. I guess because if you just go, do you want to have vegan food? And it's like a salad. That's very boring, isn't it? So
Mm,
like we all want to have something more fun in our life.
yeah.
But yeah, that's it, man. It's just it's some people are not going to understand, and that's fine. I'm not trying to push it on anyone. Everyone eat what they want, but as long as they can have a pizza with no cheese, I'll be happy.
That's that's all we're striving for
All I want in life. That's all I want
is
in life.
yeah, our pizza with no cheese, our version of that. Uh,
Yeah.
Chris, I want to thank you for coming down, just sitting down and talking with me.
I came down from my bedroom to here. I came across. There was no incline involved. Yeah.
Yeah, well, same here. You and I, we're both the same kind of poor. And
Thanks, man.
and this has been fantastic. It's above ground comedian. It's February. It's gonna be great. I'm excited to listen to it. And you're a very funny guy. And congratulations on this release.
Thanks, Chad. Lovely to chat to you, mate. And I'm a big fan of the tiger artwork you've got on your living room. So I don't know if people are going to be watching this, but that is very cool. Did you paint that yourself?
No, I bought it at a antique shop.
Oh, cool. I like
Yeah,
that. It's big and yeah, I've got art envy. So well done.
yeah, it's fantastic. It's one of my favorite things in this entire apartment.
So favorite. You haven't even put it on the wall yet, but it does. Is that on the wall? Is it hanging on the wall? Is it on the
No,
floor?
it's leaning against my my typewriter right here.
Oh, there
So
we go.
I thought that was like a cool way to put it
That's
up. But
cool.
I definitely do think about hanging it all the time.
I made that's on the list of things that you'll do in like 3 years time. Hanging a picture up is like it's down the priority list, but it's brilliant. Put it up, mate. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. You think higher or this exact height?
I can't see the full scale of your wall, but it's a big piece, so it looks big anyway. If it's big, it should be of a decent height. I think
Okay.
that's
Okay.
my limited art knowledge right there.
You know what? I'll take it and I'll take that in consideration. And I have some command strips. I'll even measure it
Yes,
right now. Yeah.
that's it, mate. Good. I'm glad I've inspired you. Thanks, Chad. Have a good one, mate.
Welcome. You as
Cheers. Take
well.
it easy. Bye.
Yeah.